Bonus Points. I'm Christian Leone.
DJ Miles.
Welcome to another installment of our Walking Dead recaps. Last Sunday's episode, I believe, was entitled Indifference.
Yeah.
And, before we actually jump into it, I think one of the things I always say about Walking Dead constantly is whenever they kind of, and I think it's not really their fault, whenever you have such a giant group of characters and casts, you have to pay attention to this and this and this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times it feels like filler. There's a lot of things that they have to do just to progress the storyline. But my favorite episodes are always when they split that up, when they only focus on a couple people.
Yeah.
Like they did last year. What was the episode when Andrea was trying to escape Woodbury? We saw Rick for 1 second. It was completely silent, roll.
Yeah, yeah.
When they go back to Rick's hometown, they find, I believe his name's Desmond. I forget. The guy who was first.
Yeah, when Rick went with Carl and Joan to,
back to the home. And that's when they get their best character moments, man. And so this week's
episode was pretty fucking awesome.
For me, I'm officially ready to say that I am impressed with Walking Dead and I'm a fan of Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. It's the first time that I'm watching the show, not as like a cynical asshole, but like really loving what they're doing. And I am so impressed with the season so far. And this episode kind of followed in suit. When they split it up, there was two main groups that they followed, but we didn't see really the sick people at all. I think we saw maybe a glimpse, if that. And, we didn't really see them. What we did is we saw the two excursions. So we saw last week, we saw, who was it, Michonne, Daryl, Tyrese, and new guy.
Yeah, black guy.
Other black
alcoholic.
Guy, who almost died again this week, by the way. I was just like,
I know, I thought you were going to die.
We're toying with our emotions at this point, but...
he's going to die. Can we just put money on that?
Well, I'll say this. Well, yeah, but they actually humanized him. You know what I'm saying? They gave him like a humanizing story. Although I think now, with how the episode ended, which we'll talk about soon, he might be on his way out. Yeah. But so we followed that group, and we also followed, and I think a way more exciting group, and something I touched upon last week was what's going to happen between Carol and Rick. Rick can't ignore it. I think the line that Tyrese said was, "If you don't do anything, you're saying that murder's acceptable, just like in Woodbury." Mm-hmm. So obviously, we knew that this wasn't going to go away. So fucking the great thing about that is we found out that Carol was the one who ended up killing these people, and in her mind, she didn't do it maliciously, and she didn't do it to really hurt anyone, but to
she
protect.
Felt like she had to do what was right. So let's just get into the big
fucking
thing.
Do it,
all right,
man.
Let's do it. Rick says, "You're not part of this group. You're done. You're doing your own thing."
Yeah.
I don't think that's the last we're going to see of her.
Oh, not at all. Although, I was going to say, you were talking about your little spinoff or whatever, like, she could potentially now do that too. Because I feel like she has an arc, man. She's grown as a person.
She definitely does, but if you said, like, oh, do you want to see, like, Carol and her group, like, as a spinoff? Like, no, I think it's more like a Daryl.
So. Although, man, I love what they're fucking doing with him, too.
But, yeah, no, I'm really impressed, because I went to, like, the hell did I call her?
Who?
Carol. Who,
you had a name for her?
Yeah, she's always eating yogurt. What's that one girl?
Oh, shit, yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm like, I don't like Jamie Lee Curtis. That's what Marilyn Manson said, by the way.
Oh, did he say
Did you see that?
I didn't see, because I don't watch Talking Dead. I can't stand Chris Hardwick as a human being.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. Okay, Marilyn Manson was on last week. This week they had the girl from Jillian and Chris Jericho.
Jericho was there.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Yeah. But I mean, you really should have seen this Walking Dead or whatever, because Marilyn Manson was just so fucking awkward. Like it was just so bad. No, because here's the thing. It's like, I think he's a really articulate guy. Like, there's like documentaries I've seen of him, and like he can like hold his own thing. Like
Bowling for Columbine, that Michael Moore movie.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Shooting for Columbine.
So fucking intelligent.
Yeah, he's so fucking intelligent. So he's a smart guy, but like he was just comparing like the worst comparisons
really
in the
bad
world.
Allusions to shit.
Yeah. And then like he was talking about how like comparing the zombie apocalypse to Nazis in World War II and like fecal matter.
You're stretching, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying stuff to be Marilyn Manson.
But it's funny, like you can tell because it was live. How they're like, he's never again.
He's never coming back.
Yeah, it was just so.
Was Hardwick really bad about it?
Yeah. No, there's points like where you hear Marilyn Manson like, "Why you cut off my mic?"
Yeah.
Like you guys aren't giving me.
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I'm gonna go rewatch this.
Yeah. No, it's just so.
Probably cut it all out. It's like an hour-long show. It's probably, if it's on demand, it's like 32 minutes.
Yeah. And there's times where like Chris Hardwick, he just kind of being like the comedic smartass and be like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's talk about this now. Yeah, but
I appreciate that. I don't know, that's fucking hysterical, man.
Yeah, but he talked about how like Carol with Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, looked like Jamie Lee Curtis.
The nice sidetrack to get back to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, okay. So I mean, that's
he kicks her out, and basically because And then you see the episode too, like, oh, well, we can cover more ground. These two people that we ended up saving that house kind of did their own thing.
Yeah, by the way, do you know who that girl is? Because I've never, that drove me
The guy looks familiar.
Crazy. The guy
I've seen the guy, and I don't know what, but...
it's the girl's eyes that did it. I know who that lady is. And
yeah.
I looked it up, I couldn't figure out anything that she was in, and she's really prominent in voice acting and like video games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't know who she was. But for me, that was such a terribly fucking sad part. But again, when we were talking about this entire season about like Rick having to understand what his role is, and Carol says it. There's a line that Carol says.
Okay, are you gonna say? Go ahead.
No, you fucking say
it. You're a farmer, but you just can't be a farmer.
You can be a farmer. You can be a farmer, Rick, but you can't be just a farmer.
Yeah,
fuck, man. That's
beautiful.
Right?
It's
that
so
was,
good.
That was the line of the whole thing, man. That, for me, and again, it's like the show continually impresses me with what they're doing, but that was the line that needed to be
like
said.
fucking like from her character, just knowing how like Chris Jericho said this, and like ironically, the zombie apocalypse was the best thing to happen.
Ever happened to Carol? Yeah. Well, she learned how to live, and I think that was another big thing. And Rick realized that. That's why Rick's explanations when he ended up banishing her was just like, you're not that person who's afraid to be alone anymore. Like you're gonna find others and you're gonna survive. And that wasn't him saying that.
He's fucking full of shit though.
Like,
just so? Like that. Just do okay. Like, do you agree with his choice? Because that's the thing we want. Like, I want.
Do I agree
with Rick telling her like, I don't want you part of this group?
Do I agree? That's a loaded question. I think that's the point of it, is that you have to be able to see merits on both sides. The way I look at it is there will be more death if he keeps her there. Tyrese will murder her, as he said. Like he almost he damn near killed me over nothing. You think he's not going to kill you over this?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think that he had to do something. I think that he loves Carol because she's been there kind of from the beginning and shit like that. But he can't let this slide. So yeah, I do think it's right. I think that he had to get rid of her. How else do you justify it? Law and order, man.
Well, here's the thing. I kind of look at it like he knows about it, but he just doesn't fucking tell the group. Like, I think it's one of those better kept secrets. Like,
sure.
Like, at least, especially to Tyrese, is like, listen, we're gonna find him. I don't know how, but we're gonna fucking find him. Because I think Carol, there's lots of things that Carol, like, she fucking put Rick in the spot. Like, that farmer quote or whatever. He just can't be a farmer. And Carl's situation is different, but like, Carl just straight up murdered a fucking kid. And like, what happened to him is because he's a kid. It's like, he gets a slap on the wrist,
pretty much.
As opposed to Carol's
I think Carol also called him out on that. She's like, well, you also killed someone in our group,
Yeah.
to Shane,
I mean, although that situation is different.
Well,
so
but, when you're on the defensive, you're trying to like give yourself any kind of fucking excuse to compare those things.
But she like, I still agree with her. Like, okay, you're right. Like, we don't know what would have happened to those people, but there's still too much of a risk to be like, because they're already sick in that group. Like, listen. We can't fucking like... Now, maybe she just, I don't know, killed them in a nicer way as opposed to like burning them alive,
Well, they showed that. They showed that in this episode. I don't know if they showed it if it was like Rick putting it together in his mind's eye or whatever, but she stabbed him in the back. You saw him drag her through. Did you not see that scene?
I guess
you didn't. Yeah. Well, they kind of show what happened,
Okay.
And her big mentality, again, is just like, oh, I had to do it. I had to save the people. I think it would have turned out a little bit differently had they actually like successfully quarantined this. If it hadn't spread and it was just like, okay, look, it was a horrendous thing, but everyone's not sick. The fact of the matter is, 20 people are sick back at the prison.
And she's like, listen, I appreciate what you've done, and you know what? I guess I didn't know how hard it was you being the leader all this time, but like, I stepped up to the plate, and regardless of what you think, I fucking did what I thought was right, and I completely agree with her. So, I mean, although it was kind of a bit extreme, and she said, I feel bad, but like, I had to fucking do it for like the overall group, because your bitch ass is being a farmer. I'm like, someone had to step up. So it was like Daryl, Carol, surprisingly Carol stepping up to the plate, and like, again, do we have the dictatorship, or do we have this council of fucking people? And to get rid of one of your strong people, because you're too like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want my son to know that I'm this person, I'm gonna be a farmer now, and care for him, like, that's bullshit in this zombie world. So I think he shouldn't have let her go, but now like, I'm scared to like see if now she's gonna be like, is she gonna be like team governor now? Like, I hope they don't do something stupid like that.
I really don't think they will. And here's the thing, all the goodwill that they bought from me so far this season, if they somehow tie that shit back in where Carol is with the governor, it'll put a really bad taste in my mouth. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch the show anymore, but it just feels like it took them 4 years. They finally course corrected. They're telling a compelling story. They're pacing it the right way too, because even though there are slower moments, like, they're great moments, So, fuck, man, I don't know. I'm I'm gonna say
So you feel like Rick did the good thing?
I feel Rick did what he had to do. I'm not saying there's a good in this. I think that's I think that's the hardest part that people aren't necessarily understanding is this is not a situation where there's good and bad. Okay. There's bad and there's worse. All right. That's all there is to it. Right. You know. I just feel like how can he possibly let him? You're saying, hey, don't tell Tyrese, but the thing is, how do you eventually say like we're gonna find him and then nothing gets done? Were you gonna frame somebody else?
Here's the thing. We'll get into Tyrese in a bit, but it's like she just she showed how valuable she was. Like she fucking knew like, oh, did Herschel teach you how to like dislocate an arm or whatever? She's like, no, I just knew that on my own. It's like there's too much like she's too much of a valuable asset to just let go like that. You know, and for him to be like, just do your thing. I know you can do it on your own. And then like, what did she tell him? Like, actually, no, you don't know. Yeah. Like, if I'm gonna be okay or not. You know, so.
Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. Every fucking week, I keep like geeking the fuck out about Andrew Lincoln, but I feel like his performance this season is so great. And that final scene is not even a fucking word. He's just in the car. He keeps looking at the rearview mirror, and every time he looks at it, like my heart broke a little bit, man. Yeah. Because you know that this is something he's struggling with. He does not necessarily want to do it, but he has to do it.
Now, this is a very important part where the show can honestly take a turn for the worse. If he does this and then he lies and say Carol just didn't make
died or something,
or whatever, that'd be fucking bullshit. Because then all that confrontation was for nothing.
For nothing. All for naught. Well, I think he's gonna have to.
So I think he needs. Yeah, he definitely needs to be like, listen, Carol's not here because of.
This is what happened.
This is what happened. And then now I would love to see how Daryl reacts to it. Because
that's fucking
although we're like.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because they're like.
They're definitely the closest. I mean, regardless of what the level of intimacy of the relationship is, there's a
they
bond
definitely
there.
had.
So there's something there. This is going to be interesting. And that's the thing, man. It's like we've never really seen Daryl and Rick at odds since Daryl kind of stepped up to the plate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's why Daryl became such a compelling character, because he's his own guy. But he really had this loyalty to Rick.
Yeah.
So we haven't really seen them at odds, and I think that's a really fucking good point, man. Like, how is that going to play out? I have no idea. Because we saw angry Daryl this week, by the way, like a different kind of angry.
Oh yeah.
Which again, they're humanizing. They're giving. I wish I knew his fucking name, but other black guy from The Wire, who's in the show now. They're both in The Wire. They're both in The Wire. Now that I think about this, actually,
Daryl was in
Tyrese. No, not Daryl. No, the other black guy who's in The Wire, and then Tyrese is also in The Wire. Any black actors I'm walking in are probably on The Wire at some point.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the first guy that died in the episode, he was in Smallville. That's what I heard.
Okay.
That died or whatever. Yeah. The boyfriend.
Yeah.
Fuck. But anyway, okay. What I want to say with Tyrese's character is that, he beat the crap out of Rick just for an argument. What was he going to do with Carol? Most likely kill Carol. But this episode, I think he was like, Michonne was like slapping some sense into him too.
Well, and I also like that. I feel like that's where they're going with this. That Tyrese and Michonne, who did hook up in the comic books, and they found solace in one another. I like that. That's kind of where they're going. But furthermore, I like the route that they're going with it, which is like you're seeing Michonne, who was obviously in a really bad place in her life. She's still going out looking for the government.
Because I guess there's like parallels how you can draw like she was Tyrese at one point.
Yeah,
and then like she just like, well, don't get me wrong, I'd still kill him, if I had a chance to. But like it's not so much repressed. It's just like you just move on.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying what happened was justified. I think it's bullshit, but like you just got to move on now.
Absolutely.
Especially in this world that that they're in. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been hinting at it for a couple episodes. And Daryl's just like, maybe if you stuck around for more than 5 minutes, you would know this, or like maybe you don't need to go running off so much. It's just like obviously like she doesn't feel like she can stay with this group. She needs retribution against the governor. But I don't think that she realized that until she saw Tyrese. Is my point. That realization. I think they got into the car, they were taking off, and she's like, "You're right. Like the trail has gone cold. I don't need to go out anymore." Mm-hmm. She didn't say that until she saw Tyrese in the emotional state he was in.
Yeah.
So you're right. It was about slapping some sense into him.
So I kind of look at it like it's weird because now I'm thinking like, okay, if it was a dude, he'd kill a dude, but would he just flat out kill Carol? Right?
Well,
like,
I
don't know. It's like no, but like again, now this is after Michonne talked some sense into him. Like, what would he have done to Carol? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think he just I think he just call her out on it, but I don't think he just flat out kill a woman. And I don't know now if I'm just trying to be like sexist or anything. Just thinking
you would hope that a guy would not murder a woman. Yeah.
So,
but I guess my question to you, man, is you would rather have seen a council meeting. I think you kind of said you wanted to see a little bit more of that anyway, just to see who these people are.
Well, you know what? I mean, because us as the audience, like, that's what we're hinting at. So I just love to see, like, an episode. It doesn't have to be long, just like 5 minutes to be like, listen, Rick is not here to step up to the plate. You know, he's doing his own thing. Like, we have Carol, we have Daryl. We can kind of bring Tyrese and Michonne. Yeah. I would probably put them like second in command, you know, because I think they're great at what they do, but not great to be leaders.
Yeah, they're cogs in the machine, but they're not the linchpin. I got you.
But really, like, I guess the top three was Daryl, Carol, and Rick. You know, and like Rick wasn't stepping up to the plate. Like, that's why I love how Carol just like, you aren't doing shit, and like I know you're giving me shit, but like I've done something for the group. Like, what have you done?
Well, I think that's the thing, that it was harder.
And that's why
it was a mirror. It was a mirror to Rick, because she even said that a lot of the time. She's just like, well, I respected you because you made all these tough decisions, but that's the point. Like, this was a tough decision, and I had to make it. You know?
Yeah.
I think if it was,
and she thought for the greater of the group, which again, although it's extreme, it's like, okay, like I think I would have been like, again, if they had a big meeting or whatever, and like you found that out, as much as I'm like, oh shit, I'm surprised you did that. I'll be like, well, I can't really blame you either, you know, because you know how they're like next time on Walking Dead, like the other doctor. I don't know if you've seen it, but like his skin complexion getting like pale, so you know he's pretty much gonna die. Yeah. You know, and then we don't know like Herschel, like he put himself in a big fucking risk.
I told you, he's guardian angel, man. He's somehow gonna be impervious to this disease.
Yeah, and the same thing with Glenn. Like I don't want Glenn to die, but like I just feel like they like.
That's my point. We didn't even see these people at all. That's what I love. Like I'm saying, when they split it up and they want to tell a story about certain people, it gets really great. Yeah. But you know, I was still curious the whole time. Like, yo, what's happening to these people?
So let's talk about Tyrese's group and other black dude.
Other black dude.
Because we got some character.
We gotta get this dude's name. I'm gonna feel excited because he's gonna be here at least one more week, right?
Yeah.
We just started like a Tinder countdown for when he's gonna die, but we gotta get his name. All right, but other black guy. Go on.
So we see some character development out of him, and then what does he tell Daryl?
Daryl, and again, one of the quieter moments, but I fucking loved it. And then, this actor's really good. He was just like, you know, when I saw you, I almost kept walking. You know, and it was an interesting thing, and that's kind of what I wanted to see, was people who've been so burned by what people turn into because of this, that they would rather be out on their own, even though it's incredibly dangerous, you know? And he says, I just didn't want to bear witness again. I didn't want to see a group be torn apart and so on and so forth, you know? Yeah. And then we find out he confesses something to Daryl, which I thought was a fucking great moment in the premiere episode. Was the premiere or was the episode after the premiere?
I think
the helicopter in the building, when the zombies are falling out.
I don't remember.
It was either the first or second episode, but if you recall correctly, fucking homie black dude saw liquor on the like a fucking shelf.
On the shelf. Yeah.
And he looked at it, he was examining it, and we didn't really know what that was about at the time. He puts it back when he puts it
and
back.
then that's when it all falls. Yeah.
And that's when shit goes to hell, and that's where
that's how that one guy died. Yeah.
So he confesses this basically, and what he's saying is just like, you know, I'm not like really like an alcoholic per se, but like it's the only thing that makes me sleep. Like it's the only thing to deal with this whole with this world that we're living in, you know. And Daryl has this moment. Again, he's really stepped up as a character who is like receiving and shit. Yeah. And little things, they showed that because he knows all the names and all like this one guy wanted me to pick up this rock, you know what I'm saying? So like he knows, he's really learned, he cares about a lot of these people, but he tells him like, yo, you're part of a group basically, you know what I'm saying? So he thought this was a really nice moment, and it's ruined because at some point they get into a sticky situation, they have to make an exit, they literally make an exit, I think they break a window and jump out.
Well, here's the thing I'm trying to figure out, like, because he did pick up supplies, right? Like he said, here's the medicine we needed. Yeah. So he picked it up himself, right? Yeah. Okay, so then there's the scene where like, he's struggling with the bag because there's zombies trying to like...
By the way, I fucking knew the minute he wouldn't let go of the bag that it was alcohol. Like, did you or did you not feel that way?
I think I caught it the second time because I didn't really pay attention the first time when I was watching it, so I watched the episode twice.
All right.
So, and then of course, because I already saw it the first time, I'm like, oh, okay, it's the alcohol. But was the medicine in his other backpack though?
Well, that's what I was asking because, I mean, I know
or did he say, because he grabbed the medicine, he put it in the bag, or did he really like, he did that and then got rid of the medicine just to put room for the alcohol?
See, I can't imagine that he would have literally gotten rid of the medicine to put alcohol in there. And if he did, like,
because the bag was still big enough to be like, I still think to fit all that stuff. Yeah. So then this is where we see Daryl really pissed off because...
God, I fucking love Norman Reedus in this episode.
Yeah, because it's great. Man. Yeah, because did he say...
you should have kept walking. Maybe you should have kept walking. That's what he said.
Yeah.
To kind of bookend the story that he was telling him earlier. But what I love about that scene more than anything is just that silent fucking like... When he's about to throw the bottle and the guy dares grab his gun. And then fucking Daryl just mean mugs the fuck out of him. Walks up into him, doesn't say a word, just breathes on him.
And then
takes his gun, I believe, right?
Yeah, he takes his gun and then there's where Tyrese is like, don't do it. And then I think now we see Tyrese is like, you know...
He's becoming the semi-rational.
Yeah, now he's the rational one. Yeah. Because I think he kind of broke down like when he just like snapped, you know, like killing all the zombies, like man, fuck this world, and then just seeing that situation kind of puts him back in perspective into like, you know, I'm so a good guy, this situation sucks, but this is how it is, don't do it, you know. But I still don't know, like, okay, he was upset about the bottle, but I still want to know, like, if it was like, oh, we almost lost you for the sake of the bottle, or you just didn't save the medicine.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I didn't see medicine in there at all. Yeah. That was my thing. And I don't know if maybe they gave it to somebody else, but to me, that's what seemed to make it even worse. Is just like, all right, man, it's one thing that you're fucking alky or whatever, you need alcohol, but you also don't have the medicine. Like, it's the whole reason we're here. It's not for your fucking, you know, alcohol consumption. So I don't know, man. It was a great fucking scene. How did that even end up? They just end up leaving, right?
Yeah, they just end up leaving. They get in the car and they take off together. Yeah, and then I think he still let him, you know, keep the alcohol, of course. But
what he says, like, yo, if you take one sip of that before we get back, before these people get the medicine, I'm gonna beat your ass into the ground. Like, fucking hey, man, don't agree to this. I don't. That's what I'm saying. I can't have him go to a different show because I feel like he's so integral to this show and like, what they've done with it. So. But here's the thing, man. We're 4 episodes in.
Yep.
You know, they split these seasons in half, so we're halfway through the first half of the season. And do you have any predictions of how it's going to pan out? I think there's a few storylines that they're hinting at. Like I said, Michonne and Tyrese, I think, are going to eventually end up together, which is kind of what I want. They're doing it in a really natural way. But I thought they were also kind of setting up the Alexandria storyline, or possibly the governor again, with the 2 people who Rick and Carol met, where they said, hey, we were part of a group, but then everyone went away. So I don't know if that's going to tie back in at all. But
what happened with that girl's leg? Was it broken or was it just
I
like...
think she had, please fucking forgive me when I say this, it's a medical condition called dragfoot, I think. Something like that. Okay. Something like that. Or drop foot.
Because it looked twisted.
It's drop foot. Yeah, it drags. Like, again, forgive me, I'm not a doctor. But that's what it is. I know a few people who have it, and it makes it difficult to walk fast because you're literally dragging your foot. But, all right, I know we've gone out of chronological order, but can I just compliment whoever directed that episode? Because that scene in particular, when they're waiting and they go to the greenhouse and they just see her leg, you know, and then they open it, it's severed, and they just look across the street, she's being eaten. That broke my heart, man. I felt Rick's heart break too. I was just like, damn it.
Well, I love how going back, they're like, you want a peach? And just like throws the peach. And
or not.
Like...
or not. Yeah, that was great because he sets a gun on him. They cut the commercial with that fucking gunshot. That's great.
But we don't know if this guy is alive or not. You know, just for the sake of the show, I'm assuming he's alive. You know.
Okay, the guy who he was with.
Yeah, the guy that like Rick gave the watch to. Because I mean, we don't know the outcome. We just know that he didn't show up in the 2-hour slot that we were given. Because we know, okay, well, if we show that, you know, we were shown that the woman was dead. I don't think they would just say, oh, the other guy just not here.
Well, I mean, they kind of commented on that. I don't think we're ever going to see him again. If we do, it'd be fine. But the reason that I think that, and again, just illustrating the kind of emotional fucking journey of Carol, which is just like, he might be fine. He really might be. But it doesn't matter because we have to go and he's not here. And again, it was just like, yo, I'm a leader. I'm cold and calculated. I can have feelings, but I have to do what's right when it's time to do it. So I thought that was another great scene, man. You know, I'm really fucking impressed with this show. I really do.
I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'll tell you what I don't want them to do. Which 2 things we said. Carol somehow leading up to like going to Team Governor for whatever reason, be like,
which presumably he's far away because Michonne can't track him, so I have to assume he's not like a mile away on the outskirts. I think he's a little further out. But I told you what my theory was, and I really hope they do this, and I'll respect it a lot more. I don't want to hear anything about the governor until
like the last
episode 7, and then I want the final episode of this first half to deal with the governor, all the things that's happening, setting up that whole 8 episodes of the final showdown. So, oh my god, they keep the governor alive after this season. I'm fucking done, man. Like, they need to kill this guy. That's maybe not kill him, but like give him the same kind of exit that they gave him in the comics, which is just like, you know, what's scary about it is that he's just out there still. Like, I know they tried to do that with season 3 finale, but it was such a dud. It did not do it for me. I wasn't worried, you know. The reason that it works in the comic book, spoiler if you haven't seen it, all these characters are already dead, but like Lori gets shot by the governor ends up taking the prison, and that's the last time you see him.
The governor, I think, ends up like killing Tyrese, like right there.
Like,
he
had
like, I'm just like, damn.
Well, see, that was before even that. That's like when he was warning them about like, get out of the prison. He cuts his head off, and Michonne sees that. That's a really fucking crazy scene. But
and Lori gets shot pregnant with.
No, she had the baby in her arms.
Oh yeah.
That's the shit they can't put on TV, man. It's like fucking baby being shot.
That was intense.
But that honestly, it's on emotional heights. You've read, I think, up to 100 issues at the very least, right? All right. So out of the first 100 issues, is that not the fucking biggest moment of the comic for me? When she fucking gets shot, you see her on the ground, she's bleeding out, and you see Rick's face, and he's like, just run, you know?
Yeah, because the Governor arc in the comics, like, that's where you lose a lot of, like, the people, like, you cared about. You know what I mean? Like, you always lost characters, but, like, you know, when you lost Tyrese, like, when Tyrese died, I'm like, fuck!
Well, because you just expected something to happen, and the way they killed him wasn't like a gunshot, they decapitated him slowly, so it was just like, and I think you hear him screaming and shit, and it gargles out. Anyway, fucking brilliant. But that's my point. It's like the way that you last see the Governor in the comic books, and I think that's great because they can still bring him back whenever they want to, is that he's taken over this prison. I think they do a series of shots without any dialogue, without any words. It's just, you know, a couple shots they showed you in the beginning of the prison when they first got into it. It's tranquil, it's peace and shit, right?
Yeah.
Then they show all those same shots, but now like zombies, the fence is down, so on and so forth. And that's the last time you see the Governor. You're just like, fuck, that's terrifying. Because somewhere out in this world, this guy just exists. Some evil, crazy guy. So, I mean, they have not really achieved that with the show, so I'm hoping that even though they can make him, they could do a Governor 2.0 and make him the crazy fucking Governor that we want. They can't keep him alive after this season. I think we agree on that.
I was going to say two things now. It actually wasn't... Well, three things now. What I was trying to say. So the one was Carol going to the governor. So don't want that to happen. Second, I really want to see how they handle Rick telling the group if he tells the truth or not. If he doesn't tell the truth, then I just feel like the episode we just saw doesn't really mean as much, and that's going to bother me.
Well, what I think even more so is that even though they want Rick to be a more hands-on person, I still don't think that they want the dictatorship. You know, they want a happy medium, and I think that even if he's completely honest about what happens, there's still going to be a little bit of animosity because he decided to be dictatorship and not console, even with Herschel. And I think that's who's going to piss off. Herschel is like the spiritual godfather of the group. So I feel like at the very least he wanted to be consulted.
Yeah, so I kind of want to see the subplot with how he reacts to it, and especially Daryl.
Yeah.
Because regardless of, you know, because they were tight. So regardless of if there was a romantic relationship or not, you know, I want to see how Daryl reacts to it.
I mean, one thing that we're positive about is Carol's not gone from the show.
No.
You're going to see her still. And I think that if they did decide to get rid of her now, it'd be a detriment because they've made her such an interesting character that we actually care about. We care about her. So for her to be written off would be stupid.
Yeah, and the third part is I still want to see the little subplot they're building with who's
feeding the zombies.
Yeah.
That's like the best fucking overarching mystery that we have. And we haven't really talked about it, but you know, I'm really excited about it.
Because I think they're gonna they're aiming it at the kids to think it's the kids, and it's someone.
They're gonna bait and switch, man. They want you to think it's the kids. It's gonna be someone else. And like, you know, the big theory still is that there is someone undercover in the prison. Somebody who works with the governor. I think it's something that was in the comic books, and as we know, they like to reappropriate a lot of the things that happen in the comic books, but with different characters and different times and shit like that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I think that if it's just that, they have to make it someone that we really give a fuck about in the new one. So hopefully it's not the kids, but I don't know if there's any other secondary character that we just met that we really like. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can't think of any. So
I know it's not Carl. That's all I got. Anyway, so we're super interested about it. We got 4 more episodes left. There's limitless fucking possibilities of what we're gonna do with this. Please comment, subscribe, do your thing, ask whatever questions you want to do. We'll be back next week doing another Walking Dead. So for bonus points, I'm Christian Olea.
I'm DJ Miles.
Thank you very much.
Take care, you guys.